Sugar Ray Leonard has landed more of the effective punches.
The difference in hand speed has already been apparent in this fight. Obviously, Sugar Ray throwing more combinations and landing them more effectively, but Kalule has thrown his own combinations and has managed to get the straight left in occasionally.
Well, it's a good combination by Sugar Ray Leonard, who obviously has all the offensive weapons, but he's also a very good defensive fighter, isn't that, Al?
They're extremely good at slipping punches and blocking punches, and of course that he doesn't just have good foot movement, he moves his upper body very well.
Of course, Angelo Dundee in the corner of Sugar Ray Leonard. Carlos Barranquilla, the referee, as Leonard slipped in the straight left. Kalule went downstairs with a left hook that time after coming on top with the right, and there he goes again.
He's starting to put his punches together better, getting into the flow of the fight a little bit more, and it often takes him 3 or 4 rounds to really get going.
None of those punches by Leonard landing. Leonard with a body shot. The right hand was effective.
Kalule with 18 KOs among his 35 wins coming into this fight, and that's a good indication he's not a devastating puncher, but he can sting you.
He got the left hand in a couple of times there, once to the chin, once to the body. Straight right by Sugar Ray Leonard.
Ray now standing flat-footed and banging those left hooks to the body. He's now wants to stand in with Kalule and see just what he has.
Good left hook by Sugar Ray Leonard, and the right, and another right. Leonard now with his best offensive attack in this fight. Kalule has landed several punches.
When Ray comes in like this, he does leave himself possibly open for that straight left, but he's landing certainly more punches against Kalule. But there, Ayub comes back with a good combination.
Kalule kept his composure there, and 2 good right hands and a left and another right by Sugar Ray Leonard.
Ray is taking counter shots from Kalule, but walking right through him. This has got to give him confidence.
Kalule is hanging tough as Leonard is hitting with a lot, and another right hand by Sugar Ray Leonard. But Kalule comes right back with a good counter. This is the 4th round, the best round so far in this fight, as Leonard and Kalule for the WBA junior middleweight crown. Roger Twyble, Al Bernstein with you. Our best bouts of the 80s. We're looking back to June 25th, 1981, Houston, Texas in the Astrodome. Sugar Ray Leonard moving up to the junior middleweight classification. The WBA champ, Ayub Kalule from Uganda, now fighting out of Denmark. We have seen 4 rounds, and we saw Sugar Ray start to exert himself in round 4.
Well, he started taking more risks, and he decided he would stand flat-footed and fight with Kalule, which did a couple of things. First, it enabled him to land good combinations, but it also enabled Kalule to hit him with some pretty good counter left hands.
Sugar Ray making the move up in weight classification had to, at some point in time, find out just how hard junior middleweights punch. He found out in round 4. We've got some of the action for you. As Al mentioned, Sugar Ray starting to exert himself and exchanging blows, and with a good right hand here.
Well, here's where he lands a series of right hands. And now you'll notice he backs Kalule up, but here's where Kalule then starts to counterpunch with Sugar Ray. See him with a right and then a good left hand, but Sugar Ray's undaunted. And later on, Sugar Ray, with some good body work, throws a series of left hands. Now here's where Kalule tries to counterpunch, but it's more of a slap, and that's something Kalule does from time to time.
We saw after the first couple of rounds, Sugar Ray with some intimidation tactics at the end of the round. In round 3, none of that. At the end of round 4, once again, Sugar Ray telling the foreigner Kalule that, hey, this is my country, this is my fight, and he says, I got you where I want you.
Well, Sugar Ray never lacks for showbiz qualities, does he? Yeah, I think he knew that in that round he had backed Kalule up. He had taken some good counter shots, but they didn't hurt him, so he's trying to do a psych job on Kalule.
So the confidence factor in round 4, where Sugar Ray Leonard went toe-to-toe with Kalule, Sugar Ray found out that, hey, I can punch with the junior middleweights.
Well, indeed, and he found out that when Kalule landed those straight left hands, he was at least able to absorb him, but he had to know that when he attacked like that, he did leave himself open for those counter shots, and what he found out was that Kalule does have maybe a little more hand speed than people suspected.
Okay, this is scheduled for 15 rounds. WBA junior middleweight title fight back in 1981, June 25th. Let's move it on to round 5 right now. Sugar Ray Leonard and Ayub Kalule, with Leonard a very impressive 4th round. That is Kalule, and Sugar Ray Leonard moving out to the middle of the ring. Leonard has been the aggressor. He has moved Kalule around the ring in this fight.
Yeah, he really has. He's made Kalule chase him when he wants him to, and as you said, has been able to push him back pretty well, as he did in round 4.
You mentioned the referee Carlos Barraquilla, and he has had little or nothing to do so far in this fight, and a good combination by Ray Leonard.
I don't think there's been one clinch yet. They are fighting at much closer range than some people thought they would like. And there's the jab from Kalule, and he has tried very hard to get that punch going in the first 4 rounds.
He also landed an elbow just before that jab, inadvertent elbow, as Leonard comes back with a left and the right uppercut. Sugar Ray can really get his head back out of there, though. He leaves it exposed, but he can really move it back and slip those punches.
Ray is willing to exchange now on the inside with Kalule. And he's taking more punches than I think he would have anticipated.
You think that has to do with the confidence factor, that he feels he can take the punch from Kalule and he's going to go inside and land some shots of his own?
I think it does. He's going right after Kalule, and sometimes we are accustomed, as we look at Angelo Dundee exhorting Sugar Ray on, we're accustomed to seeing Sugar Ray box more, but he is standing in with him.
And I'm sure that's got to be giving headaches to Angelo Dundee, because I'm sure Angie doesn't want to see his fighter in there trading punches.
No, not at all. And Kalule is landing here in this 5th round rather well. And there you see combinations from Kalule, so that indicates he is not a one-dimensional fighter.
The corner of Sugar Ray Leonard saying go to the body, but you can see Sugar he's very, looks almost lackadaisical, but that's just his style as he is measuring his opponent right now.
Kalule has gotten the right hook going, a punch that I said is not his best weapon, but he's landing a good straight right by Ray.
And he goes with the left to the body, and he has landed that punch to the body throughout this fight.
It's interesting, Roger, that you'd expect Kalule to do more body work, and really it's been Ray who's gone downstairs more.
You can see Kalule, very powerful built young man upstairs, as the left comes over the top, and that landed effectively. I would venture to say that Kalule has landed the more effective punches in the 5th round.
This has been his best round of the fight.
So possibly after that 4th round, Kalule took some shots from Leonard and said, hey, he didn't hurt me at all. A good uppercut and another right hand by Sugar Ray Leonard.
Ray would like to steal the last 25 seconds of this round and maybe erase what Kalule did earlier.
Well, he's just in there trading punches with Kalule right now. Kalule the left and Leonard the right. And a good right hand by Kalule, and Leonard with a right. And look at these two just going back and forth, trading punches as we come down to the conclusion of the 5th round from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. This is 1981. Round 6, as you take a look at Ayub Kalule, and a good exchange in round 5. And Al, if you were in Houston, how would you have scored that 5th round?
I'd tell you, I think I would have given Kalule just a slight edge. I would give him a slight edge in that round, but Sugar Ray came back with some big shots toward the end. And, you know, Kalule hit Sugar Ray with some tremendous right hooks, and it just didn't have that big an impact on Ray.
So after the 4th round, a real confidence boost for Ray Leonard, and maybe after the 5th round, a real confidence boost for Ayub Kalule. So this 6th round should be very interesting.
They have both found out that they can land at close quarters, and you have to feel that Kalule at least knows that Ray is not so elusive he can't get to him at all.
Good body combination by Ray Leonard.
Probably going into this fight, Kalule really thought that he'd be chasing Sugar Ray around the ring. I don't think he anticipated they'd be in the center of the ring at close quarters exchanging bombs.
Maybe it's a macho thing for Ray, moving up in the weight classification to say, I'm going to maybe fight like a junior middleweight and not like a welterweight.
Well, prior to this, you know, of course, coming in off the Duran fight that he won, the Omas fight, but before that, made the mistake of standing in with Duran when many people felt he should have boxed, as he did in their return match. So some people may look at this